Thank everybody for being here for this very important bill signing ceremony. I want to start out by thanking Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and Speaker Dustin Burrows for their leadership in general about everything they're doing in their respective chambers, but also in particular what they have done to marshal the forces in each chamber to make sure that we are putting in the forefront of legislation the shaping, formation, and recalibration of government in the state of Texas by making it more responsible, more responsive, less costly, and more efficient by passing the law that I'm about to sign. Also, I want to thank Senator Phil King and Representative Capric-Leon for their leadership in their respective chambers to work in their chambers to get this passed out so quickly and get it to my desk. And I want to thank Jeff Burdett for being here, the director of the National Federation of Independent Business. He was one of several people in the community representing small businesses in this state that care so much about regulations and having to navigate the regulatory environment. He and Glenn Hammer, the president and CEO of the Texas Association of Business, were heavily engaged and involved, as well as so many other people in our state. CEOs are the people who make business decisions for the company for which they are a CEO. CEOs have such respect for Texas that nationally they have ranked Texas the best state for doing business for 20 years in a row. And going beyond rankings, they put their money where their ranking is, because they have taken that ranking and made an investment in Texas through economic development. And the investments they have made have led to another record. Spanning across the wall in the side of the room here are trophies that Texas has received, which are the national championship trophies of economic development. Texas has won the national championship for economic development for 13 years in a row. Business could not be doing better, with one exception. Among the CEOs that I talk to every single week, there were growing concerns, and concerns that were repeated time and again. The regulatory environment in Texas is getting too burdensome. The regulatory environment in Texas is well known for being good, but it seems like it's not as easy to navigate as it once was. Then I was shocked to learn that a study came out that showed that Texas had the 5th highest regulatory burden of any state in the United States. Completely unacceptable. We have seen this problem coming down the pathway, and we actually began working on solutions for this before the name DOGE arose. What DOGE did, however, was to crystallize exactly what we were seeking to achieve. It gave definition to it. It gave strategies to it that the members of the Texas House and Texas Senate were able to craft onto legislation so that we in Texas can have our own DOGE, known as the Texas Regulatory Efficiency Office. What this law will do that I'm about to sign is it will slash regulations. It will put stricter standards imposed on new regulations to hinder the imposition of regulations that could prove costly to doing business. It will put a check on the growth of the administrative state in Texas. Altogether, what this law is going to do is to make government more efficient and less costly. It will ensure that Texas is operating at the speed of business, and it will make it easier for our fellow Texans, average Texans, to deal with their own state government. Texas DOGE will lead to spending cuts, regulation cuts, and a more user-friendly government. I'm proud of everything that the Speaker, Lieutenant Governor, as well as the entire House and Senate were able to achieve to get this bill to my desk, which is now law. science to this. Texas regulatory reform is now law in the state of Texas.
Thank you, Governor. I believe this is one of the earliest bill signings we've had in our 10 years working together. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, for making that happen and getting the bill across the line. Senate Bill 14 by Phil King, and he did all the work on this. I'd call it DOGE Texas style. It is the bill to focus on what ends up when you make government more efficient is saving taxpayers money. That's really the goal. We want to reduce regulations, as the governor said. We want to have a clear review of all of our agencies, where we can trim, and how we can save businesses money, how we can save taxpayers money, so that they will continue to come here and create jobs and add to our economic viability and competitiveness, which we do. So I think it's really interesting. DOGE, Texas style. We're serious about it, and one of the things I like about the bill is it has a portal so that anyone watching right now, any citizen can go on and see the same thing that he will see, that I and the Speaker will see, or any legislator, in simple, plain language. In Texas, we like to keep things simple. So Texas DOGE will make us more transparent than ever to every citizen, cut all the red tape, or most of the red tape, make us as efficient as possible, attracting more businesses, creating more jobs, and saving taxpayer money. I can't think of really a better bill to start off the session with.
Thank you, Speaker.
You know, I think it's very exciting that this is the first bill signing we've had this session. But I predict it's going to be the first of many more that we're going to have. Governor, Lieutenant Governor, this is a fantastic bill to start with. Both these chairmen back here did yeoman's work in getting this done smoothly, efficiently, and quickly so that we can put this into law. The business of Texas is business. It clearly is. And we have a reputation around the country as being one of the most business-friendly environments out there. As the governor pointed out, that's not always exactly true when it comes to regulations. Texas businesses, Texas citizens, they deserve regulations that are plain English, that you can understand what they mean. They deserve to know that what they actually do, and they deserve to make sure they're consistent and as few as possible. What this bill is going to do is provide an efficient regulatory framework. It is going to reduce the number of regulations. And what I believe is the fewer regulations we have, the more efficient they are, the easier they are to understand, is going to help Texas's business and economy continue to boom, which is why I'm excited. This is the first bill that is being signed into law. Thank you all.
Thank you. And now Jeff Burdett with NFIB.
Thank you, Governor. First, I'd like to say thank you to the Governor for creating the Small Business Freedom Council. It was an honor to co-chair with Glenn Hammer from TAB and to work with your staff on this important and fruitful endeavor. I'd like to thank you also for your leadership in keeping small businesses always on the front of your mind and proactively keeping Texas the best place to do business. The Small Business Freedom Council was made up of business association leaders and small business owners from around the state. In early March, we released our report, and just a few items that we identified, including reducing regulatory and bureaucratic burdens, reducing taxes and fees, especially on the business personal property tax, and eliminating areas where there is fee duplication. I'm proud to say that many of these recommendations are now working their way through the legislative process, and it's an honor to be here today to see the governor sign SB 14, which is a culmination of these efforts, and will continue our good work that we created by creating the Texas Regulatory Efficiency Office under your purview. I'd also like to thank Lieutenant Governor Patrick and Senator King for shepherding this on the Senate side, Speaker Burrows and Representative Capriglione on the House side. And it was a very efficient process. We're here this early in the process.
That's the first proof of efficiency.
There you go. First proof of efficiency, exactly. Senate Bill 14 is the kickoff to what could be the best legislative session for small businesses in Texas history. And I appreciate the support of all of these legislative leaders here today that have really helped small businesses.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to all the members of NFIB
Yes, sir.
for what they do to create jobs and grow our great economy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions.
Governor, is there a sector or an industry or some examples that you think is low-hanging fruit that this red tape could be cut?
I got to tell you, I think there's low-hanging fruit all over the place. When you look at the vast amount of regulations, there's so much slicing and dicing that can and needs to be done. And so we will look to accelerate the process to make sure we start slashing away to make government more efficient as quickly as possible.
Governor, we're talking a lot about different bill signings that we're expecting. I wanted to see if we could get any reaction on SJR 3 getting delayed today in the House. It's a priority for St. Patrick, as there's been reporting the House Democrats are going to withhold their votes on those joint resolutions. Any comment on that strategy?
Well, I'm hearing it for the first time, so I don't know exactly what you're talking about. All I can say is this, and that is one thing that we have shown, being myself, the Lieutenant Governor, and the Speaker, we are working collaboratively together better than any time that I've been governor. And I think that same collaboration will seep into and be a part of both the House and the Senate. Listen, not everything is going to get passed on day one, and there's the give and take through this process. But I have no doubt that when the sun sets on this session, it's going to be viewed as one of, if not the most successful session we've seen in more than a decade.
Governor, you mentioned that.
Well, Dave, I was thinking about you, but I don't know what your availability.
Yeah, but he can't count. So
Well,
that'd be a
but also, that for one, but I was thinking about him until here we are at a press conference and his phone goes off, and so you're all off the table. I don't.
That's another example of efficiency. No, I don't.
Governor, you mentioned that you were surprised by this report that said that we had a bad rep in regards to regulations. The Texas GOP has been in charge for more than 20 years. Why did it take so long to get to this point?
Candidly, what we've heard over and over again is how well Texas is run and what the regulatory environment is like. I'll give you the most prolific example. And that is in, no, more than that. In April of 2020, Elon Musk came to meet me here in my office and said that he wanted to create a cyber auto manufacturing company in Austin, Texas, and hadn't even turned dirt or anything like that on it. He said, here's the deal. I got to do that in 18 months. I asked him, have you ever built a house? But we worked it out, and we were able to ensure that we could move the regulations at the speed of business. And he was actually able to build that cyber factory from turning dirt to rolling vehicles off of it in less than 18 months. Since then, Elon has moved all of his businesses to Texas because he says the business environment in Texas is superior to where it is elsewhere. And people like Elon and so many CEOs that I've talked to are very pleased with the environment on a comparative basis. But Rudy, one thing we constantly work to do, one reason why we are repeatedly ranked number one, is because we perpetually seek to find ways to improve. And this regulatory environment reform is one way that we can improve to ensure that Texas is moving even faster, and in the future, there'll be even more trophies behind your back, ranking Texas as the national champion for economic development.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Timeline for SB2 from the Senate. Logistically, timeline for SB2, when it's going to go to the Senate, when theoretically could be signed.
Sometime during the session.
Thank you. Thank you.